For a while there, I didn't think I was going to make it out on the bike this weekend. You see, my goal for YouTube is simple. 1 video per week, filming preferably on a Saturday. Measurable, it's certainly achievable, and I think it's realistic. And in the case of this goal, it has a deadline. Each week that deadline comes around, we meet it, and then we reset and we start all over again. But this week was a little different, because right from the beginning of the week, I've been checking the weather app, as I do when I know I'm going out on the bike, and all week it said it's going to rain today. Now, I'm not one for riding in the rain. If I'm given a choice between riding in the rain and not riding at all, well actually I'd probably still not ride at all. But that's something that I'm working on, and I really wanted to get out on the bike this weekend. I wanted to make a video with the bike. Problem is, GoPros, well, my GoPro, I've got the Hero 8. GoPros, they are waterproof, but not when you start plugging things into them. And you do need to plug things into them. You need to plug important things like a microphone in. So then I'm faced with the dilemma. Do I not ride the bike, not make a video, or do I now need to devise a solution? How can I make the GoPro waterproof whilst also recording audio? So I set about that little challenge. It was obvious I was either going to need to continue with my current setup and waterproof it somehow, or I was going to have to revert the GoPro to its standard configuration, hence making it waterproof, and devise a solution for audio, which was going to be a third-party piece of hardware or a third-party app. So anyway, long story short, mission accomplished. But it did get me to thinking about 2 specific conversations that I've had in the last couple of weeks about achieving our goals. Specifically about the times when the goals that we have perhaps seem out of reach, or perhaps we feel like we're never going to get there, we're never going to make it. Because let's face it, some of the goals that we have, some of the goals that we set for ourselves, or sometimes are set for us by others, they can be quite substantial. They can be quite lengthy. You know, some of our goals, they may last weeks, maybe even months, maybe even years. And there are times when we feel like we can't see the wood for the trees. I mean, sometimes your goal might just be going to work and making it to the end of the day. But even then, you've probably got several dozen things to do in a day where you can do half a dozen things. But anyway, those times when we can't see the wood for the trees, we don't feel like we can achieve our goals, when I get to that point, the first thing I do is I ask myself, is this still a goal that I want to achieve? And we have to ask ourselves that question, because some of the goals that we have, as I say, they take so long to achieve that, you know, people change, and you may have changed over time, and you may not want to achieve that goal anymore. Take my Mini, for example. I bought him many years ago, and for various different reasons I never managed to get him on the road. So I have to ask myself, do I still want to achieve this goal? Is this something that I still can see myself doing, or do I just cut my losses and run? And for those of you that know me, you'll be pleased to know that absolutely I'm still going to keep the Mini as a project to achieve at some point. But to make that decision, one of the things that I do is I visualize myself achieving that goal. You know, I visualize myself actually taking the Mini finished, taking him to his MOT, for example. I visualise myself getting a pass. I visualise myself getting out with the local mini club, going to the mini shows, and I decide, yes, this is definitely still a goal that I want to achieve. So what about the other goals? Why do we often feel overwhelmed by the goals that we have, the goals that we've set for ourselves? Well, the problem, that as I see it, is in order to set a goal, you've thought about achieving that goal. You've thought, is this something that I genuinely want to achieve? And once the goal's set, essentially you've achieved your first step. You've set that goal. You've decided, yes, this is something that I want to do. You've visualized yourself achieving it, and you've made a start. So you've essentially achieved your final step and your first step. The problem, as I see it, is that everything in between, we see it as a single step. We don't break the goals down into manageable chunks, manageable pieces, and so we get overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of some of the goals that we want to achieve. Take YouTube, for example. I spent 9 months preparing to launch this channel, because at the point that I decided, yes, YouTube is definitely something that I'm going to do, if you imagine, then it's a case of, well, what do I need to achieve this? Well, I need a camera. I don't know anything about cameras. I need to research cameras. Oh, but I need a laptop. But do I want a laptop? Maybe I want a PC. What specs do I need? Oh, what editing software am I going to use? Do I have to pay for it? Is it free? Are the free ones any good? What's the specs? What's the specs that I need to use that editing software? What about a GoPro? I'm going to put a GoPro on the front of my helmet. I don't know nothing about GoPros. And the list goes on and on and on and on, and you can feel overwhelmed by it simply because we take everything between starting and achieving and we group it all into a single step. It could be a dozen things, could be 100 things, could be 1,000 things that you have to do that could take weeks, months, even years to achieve. But for some reason, we group them all into a single step and expect ourselves to achieve them all at the same time, and that's simply just not achievable. You must break down everything between start and finish into individual steps. And that's not to say that the goal wasn't achievable to begin with. It's just that somewhere along the way we got bogged down with everything at once. It overwhelmed us, and we reached a point where we started to consider, am I ever going to achieve this goal? So catch yourself, and then ask yourself, do I still want to achieve this goal? And if you do, ask yourself, can I see my next step? And if you can see your next step, then you can keep moving forward. And that's the real moral of the tale, is to keep moving forward. And yeah, there may be setbacks, but that's life. That's going to happen. You may have to take a step back, as long as you then continue moving forward. See your next step and take it. Keep moving forward, and you'll be able to get your goals back on track. And eventually you'll be able to achieve those goals. And when you do, when you achieve those goals, I want you to do two things. First of all, celebrate. Celebrate the achievement. Revel in what it is that you have set yourself to do, and the fact that you've achieved it. Absolutely, why not celebrate? And the second thing, set yourself a new goal.